Ed, the Conservative Political Action Conference is this week here.
Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
CPAC?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just know it's a big conservative convention that they have every year, put by the American Conservative Union. And I guess I forgot what CPAC actually stood for. Okay.
That's what it is. You want to keep that part in? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I don't know why people are making a big deal out of this.
But from what I understand, you're going to be attending and you're going to be participating. Tell us a little about it.
You know what? Since I've been doing the news on RT, which I can tell a lot of people on my Facebook who rip me a new one all the time haven't even seen it. You got to go to RT.com and watch the news at 8 o'clock with Ed Schultz, and you can make your own determination of just how much propaganda is there. I laugh at it. But anyway, the fact is that we have had a lot of conservatives on the news because we get both sides, and we've developed a pretty good relationship with the guys at the American Conservative Union. In fact, when we did a town hall discussion in Fargo, North Dakota before the election, Ian Walters, who's the communications director for the American Conservative Union, was kind enough to come out to Fargo and be a part of a 8-person panel, and we had quite a discussion. It was a great night, and it was about a month before the election. Well, we've had Ian on numerous times. We've had Matt Schlapp on numerous times because we cover, news and both sides of the story. So through the election, I asked them about CPAC. And I asked them about their big convention, which is pretty widely known. And I said, I wouldn't mind speaking there because, there is some common ground when it comes to trade, when it comes to international trade deals, which obviously back in October before the election was a huge issue with the American workers and American international relations. And so they said, yeah, we'll see what we can do. And they got back to me and invited me to speak and said, yes, we got a spot for you and we'll tell you where. And now I'm going to be on a panel that talks about trade issues, which have been all over for the last how many years of doing the radio show and also doing the TV work since 2009. We spent a number of hours on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We have talked about trade a long time. Bernie Sanders, when we had him on TV quite a bit, we always talked about trade and trade deals. And also being someone, as I am pro-union, I believe in collective bargaining. I believe in a living wage. I believe in health safety in the workplace. And basically, the Trans-Pacific Partnership was just cut to the chase. Was going to ship a bunch of jobs overseas. Was going to be a race to the bottom. It was going to gut a lot of American jobs. And we got to the devil in the detail through the months. We covered it more than anybody. And so I've learned a lot about trade, no doubt. So I'm going to be on this panel. The pushback from some people and the conclusions that they jump to is that I'm trying to get into some kind of conservative camp or I'm going to change my thinking. Well, if you're, that concerned about it, why don't you just watch it? It's going to be on CSpan, I understand, as it always is, and see what I have to say. And if you're going to have an exchange of ideas, the only thing you can do is to meet people face to face in front of a crowd who may think differently than you do. I mean, that's what democracy is about, isn't it? That's a sliver of democracy, being able to say what you think, what you believe in, back it up with facts, and debate the issues. And so I assume that's what the panel is going to be about. I'm going to talk about the politics that surround trade that just absolutely exploded during the discussion of this run-up to the most recent election, and now where we are right now. Because there really hasn't been a whole lot about trade other than, there really hasn't been a whole lot about trade recently, but I see that on Thursday, the president is going to have a number of CEOs at the White House talking about manufacturing. Our manufacturing sector, in the media 7 years ago, we couldn't get anybody to talk about manufacturing. I brought it up as subjects where I used to work, and they didn't tell me not to do it, but they kind of frowned on it, but I got to do it anyway. And it's all of a sudden it's exploded as the big issue. It had a lot to do with Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin when it came to Trump winning the election. So what are the Democrats missing in this portion of the electoral base. What the voting bloc that's out there that feels like, the liberals have abandoned manufacturing, the liberals have abandoned the wage earners who still have a major place and a major stake in our economy. And these trade deals that we have entered into have done nothing for the American economy when it comes to the American worker. It's depressed wages, it's gutted jobs, pushed them overseas. We've lost our manufacturing base to what we used to have. This idea about high-tech manufacturing, very true. But when you take a look at the steel industry and you look at the textile industry, this pretty much is a race to the bottom, and it's a quality issue as well. And there haven't been any trade agreements that the United States has embarked upon that have been totally positive for our economy. So Trump tapped into this. And Bernie knew about it, but Bernie didn't get the nomination. Hillary was a little bit late to the game on this. And so here we are. Every union was against the TPP. The TPP was, quote, the gold standard. But of course, that proved to be wrong. And so this conversation at CPAC that we're going to have this panel on manufacturing, I'm looking forward to being a part of.
Well, looking at the broader scope of trade, too, you mentioned that both sides of the aisle, there can be some real common ground here.
Sure.
I mean, do you think, and to go beyond CPAC, I guess, do you think that the president is that a good way for him to actually reach across those aisles and say, hey, look, we both feel the same way that the TPP was a bad deal? Why, shouldn't that be where he's trying to mend those relationships?
Well, the president made a lot of promises on the campaign trail to the working folk of America, that he was going to bring back jobs, that he was going to get rid of these trade deals that were gutting American jobs. He's already put Mexico on notice. He's already addressed the issue of trade with the Japanese prime minister. And I think that the discussion on manufacturing and trade is very, very important. I mean, what would a border tax do? They were talking about that today at the White House. Whether it's actually going to be implemented, it's very complicated. Our trade with Canada, they're part of the North American Free Trade Agreement. The president, of course, met with the Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Trudeau, who you could get kind of a undercurrent that there were some differences there, but the niceties were all at the White House. So who knows where all that's going? Canada is one of our biggest customers. They are the number one customer to 35 states in our union, the United States of America. Canada, they're a vital trading partner. So how are we going to handle them versus others? And international trade quite often has been connected to national security. And this is the issue that I think has bothered a lot of people. Not only is it a race to the bottom, and it's a Wall Street setup for the rich to make more money and gut the middle class, but it's also had a national security component to it, and I'm sure that we're going to get to that on the discussion as well.
Well, perfect. I think that's great.
It just amazes me how people think, that there's something wrong or unusual that I'm speaking as part of a panel at CSpan. I don't have a featured speech to give, all right? I'm part of a panel that I believe is going to last for an hour or so, in a breakout panel is what they call it. I'm just very excited to be a part of it because I think that I'm going to have some different views, but also there may be some real common ground that could be found as well, and I want to hear what they have to say as well.
Perfect.